Okay, in this section we're going to do some problem solving, and to start with we're going to set up the algebraic expressions that we're going to need to actually solve the problems. Okay, so this first part we're just going to write the expressions. So the first one is the sum of three consecutive integers if the first is x. So let's remember how this works. Okay, so if you have any integer on the number line, okay, any integer on the number line right here, the next integer up is going to be x plus 1. That's to get the next. Okay, to get the next even integer or the next odd integer, depending on what you're starting with, you have to go up 2. So that would be the next integer. That would be the next even or odd integer, would be up 2. Okay, so for example, if you had, we've got even integers here. So if 8 was your first even integer, the next one would be 10, and then the next one would be 12 after that. You have to go up 2 each time to stay even or to stay odd. Okay, so coming back to the problem, we need 3 consecutive even integers. So if the first is x, the next one's going to be x plus 2, then we're going to have to go up 2 again, or in other words, 4 from the beginning. So you can either think of it as x plus 2, or 4 from the beginning, and that's going to be x plus 4. Okay, check our little example down here, 8, 8 plus 2, 8 plus 4. That does seem to work. Okay, so we want the sum of 3 consecutive integers. So we're going to have x plus 2 plus x plus 4. That would be the sum. And then, of course, we can tidy that up a little bit by combining x's and numbers. So we'd have 3 x's, 1, 2, 3, plus 6. Okay, so that would be the sum of 3 consecutive even integers. Okay, the next one is a perimeter of a rectangle. Hold on a second. The perimeter of a rectangle where the length is 8 centimeters longer than the width. So we've got a rectangle. Always draw a picture if you can, it helps. Okay, so we've got a rectangle. You can call the sides whatever you want. So length and width this way would make sense for this problem because the length is longer. Okay, so this one is W out here, and the length is 8 longer than the width, or 8 more than the width. So the length is going to be W plus 8. Okay, so our sides are W and W plus 8, and we're looking for the perimeter. So let's label it all the way around. Remember, opposite sides are the same length on a rectangle. So that gives us the 4 sides. So we've got W, W plus 8, W, and W plus 8. So if we're looking for the perimeter, we're going to add all of these up. Remember, it's the length of all the sides combined. Okay, so we add up the length of all the sides, and like above, we can simplify this. So we've got 4 W's, and then 8 and 8 makes 16. So 4W plus 16 is the perimeter. Okay, and then the last one is a percentage. Leo makes 20% on his sales. So we don't know what his sales are. We can call that X. And we have to remember to make 20% 0.20. Remember, we have to move that decimal place 2 times to make it into a decimal. Okay, so Leo makes 20% on his sales. If his sales are X, then he's making 0.20 times X. Okay, so those are our expressions for this problem. Okay, so now let's try to solve some problems that are related to the expressions that we just did last time. So the first one says, what are 3 consecutive even integers whose sum is 222? So remember from last time, our consecutive integers were x, x plus 2, and x plus 4. Okay, so that's what we just did earlier in the video. And we want their sum to be 222. So that's what this part is right here. Okay, so we're going to have x plus 2 plus x plus 4. We're going to sum those 3 together, and the sum is 222. Okay, so is 222. Okay, so now we should be able to solve this. This is a linear equation. So we can combine like terms on the left, and we would get 3x, okay, 1, 2, 3, plus 6, just like we did last time, equals 222. And now we have an equation that we can solve. So we've got it simplified, it's in the right form, and we want to get x by itself, so we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to do minus 6 on both sides, and that's going to give us 216. And then the opposite here, 3 times x would be divided by 3. Okay, and we're going to get, let me write this to the side, that's going to be equal to 62. Nope, sorry, 72. Go back. All right, 72. Okay, so is that our final answer? Well, no, not quite. Remember, we need 3 consecutive integers. So x is 72, that's our first one. X plus 2 would be 74. And x plus 4, 72 plus 4 would be 76. So 72, 74, 76, that's our final answer. Okay, so make sure when you're doing the problems that you actually answer what it's asking. Okay, next one. Okay, we have the rectangle that we drew before. The length is 8 centimeters longer than the width. So remember we had W for the width and W plus 8 for the length. And that means we also had W over here because opposite sides are equal, and W plus 8 here. Okay, the perimeter is 176, and remember that the perimeter is the sum of all the sides. So we'd have W plus 8 plus W plus W plus 8 equals 176. Okay, and just like we did a minute ago, we can simplify this. We've got 4 W's plus 16. Okay, and so now we've got 4W plus 16 equals 176, so we can solve this. So we do the opposite, we'd minus 16. I'm going to bring this up over here so we've got a little bit more space. Okay, so we've got 4W equals 160. So the opposite would be divide by 4, divide by 4. And we get W equals 40. Okay, so the width is 40. So what is the length? Well, remember the length is the width plus 8. So it's going to be 40 plus 8 is 48. Okay, so the width is 40 and the length is 48. Okay, and then you can always check that by plugging it back in, 40, 48, 40, 48, add that up, and it should be equal to 176. Okay, and then the last one, Leo makes 20% commission on his sales. So remember we wrote that as 0.20x, or 0.2x would be fine as well, or 0.20. What is his commission if his sales total 1,400? Okay, so for this one, oh sorry, for this one we don't need to solve anything. We just need to put in his total sales because this is 0.20 times his sales. So we're just going to put the 1,400 in here. So 0.20 times 1,400. You can use a calculator, you can multiply this out, that should be 280. Okay, so he's going to make $280 in sales. Okay, and that's the basic idea. Just try to set it up. Be careful as you go. Make sure you understand what the question is asking, and if all else fails, think of a simple example to make sure that you're on the right track.